other people got involved in the team and something started to get outsourced, and then I could take a step back. But before then, it was quite literally, every spare second that I had just thinking about YouTube. Because you have to.
Hey guys, welcome to Create's Campfire. In this episode, I sit down with YouTuber and podcaster Kharma Medic, aka Nasir Kharma. Nasir's a fifth-year medical student who started a YouTube channel to help others get into med school in his first year of uni. Since then, he's grown it into a hugely successful channel with 1 million subscribers, all while studying for a degree in medicine. Nasir's a true part-time YouTuber, and he spoke to me about what his process for each video looks like, how he's managed to stay consistent and put out a video every single week since he started, and how he's managed to balance putting himself online whilst trying to keep his personal life private. Enjoy. Nasir, you are obviously studying medicine, almost at the end of your degree, I believe. First things first, did you always want to be a doctor?
I think for the longest time I wanted to be a doctor. When I was sort of younger, I always said I want to be a doctor. I thought I want to be a doctor. But only I think in my later years of high school, and then definitely in my early years of the first degree at the University of Toronto, that's when I kind of realized, okay, this is exactly what a career in medicine entails. This is what the day-to-day job looks like. And I confirmed this is actually what I want to do. So it was always an idea I had in my head, but then I kind of solidified it with real life experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. And as a child, purely because the YouTube thing is very, very new, which we'll obviously come on to in a second, sure, in the grand scheme of things. And therefore, it might have been a bit more for you, but definitely for me, growing up, YouTube wasn't even a thing. And where kids kind of grow up now and go, I want to be a YouTuber, that wasn't around back then at all. So it was never really an option. But what was baby Nasir like in terms of school Nasir? What kind of traits did you have? Because looking in, you're obviously very, very hardworking, which helps a lot. But kind of what else was kind of going on?
I mean, in school, to be honest, I was very mischievous, if that's the right word. I was always getting into trouble. I guess being the class clown, making everyone laugh, and pushing teachers to our limits, I think. But I always justified it because I would get straight A's or A stars or whatever on every exam, every grade. So I always said to the teachers, whatever I'm doing something right. Just let me have fun in the rest of the time,
I love that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So were you somebody who just worked really hard, or were you kind of naturally good at school and stuff?
Yeah. I always was, and I always have been someone who just works very hard. The thing is, I don't feel like I grasp concepts at the same rate as some of my really smart friends. I can't assimilate big pieces of information very quickly. I've never crammed for an exam in my life because I just would never be able to learn all that information in such a short period of time. And so that's part of where my good discipline and work ethic comes in, to be consistent over time, because I just could never do it any other way. And so I needed those long hours. I needed that repetition.
Okay, no, that's cool. Not that I was going to get all mad if you were just one of those naturally talented people. But,
I wish I was, to be honest, but it's
me
okay.
too.
I'll take the good work ethic instead.
No, I love that. So obviously you went down the medicine route, and I know you did your undergrad over in Canada first and then applied to the UK. Talk to me about that and how it led on to the YouTube channel. So
I actually ended up going to Canada sort of completely by accident, or as a plan B. My original plan was always to get accepted to medical school here in the UK. That's what I applied for when I left high school from Greece. But I didn't get accepted for any of the medical programs that I applied to. And so as a plan B, I had also applied to an undergraduate course in Canada, because there you have to do an undergraduate course before you start medical school. And so it was, I don't want to say by mistake, but it wasn't the first option that I ended up going there. And kind of over those 4 years, I always knew that I wanted to reapply for medical school again. And so all the time I had to have my grades, kept up really well. I needed to be doing extracurricular things like research and getting all of these, what are they called, accolades on your CV or whatever, to improve your application, And then when it came time to apply to medical schools, I should say, in Canada and the UK in my third year of my degree out of 4, I had a tough time, obviously, because the course was so demanding, and I was trying to apply to medical school in 2 countries. And sort of along that process, at some point, I thought to myself, or I said to myself, if I do get accepted, I want to help other people get accepted as well. And the reason for that was because I felt like, compared to my 16, 17-year-old self applying the very first time to my 20, 21-year-old self, I felt like I knew absolutely everything about med school admissions. I knew exactly what they were looking for, how to answer their questions, what to write on your personal statement. I felt like I had figured out the game of applying. And so I was like, no one's sharing this information. I didn't have any of that information. I learned it all myself, so I can give that back. And that's kind of where the initial inspiration came for starting the YouTube channel.
That's very cool. I think there's a lot of people that kind of fall into I just want to do YouTube to do YouTube because it looks cool or whatever. I'm probably one of those. And there's the other group of people that are actually, I want to help people. I want to put information out there. I've seen that, I was struggling with X, Y, and Z, and therefore I want to kind of almost fill that gap and kind of help people. Why YouTube though, and why not any other medium?
Again, it was kind of a plan B, or actually a plan C. When I got accepted, I remember I was like on the phone with my mom on this big patch of grass. We were both crying. I was like so happy. And I said to her on the phone, like, I'm going to help some other students get accepted too. And so a couple of days later, I was like, okay, how can we achieve this goal of helping other people get accepted? So I started on the medical school forums that I had used to help myself prepare for different exams and whatever. And I just wrote out this huge, lengthy, triple paragraph saying who I was, what I had done, and that I had gotten accepted for all the schools that I applied to. Excuse me. And if you have any questions, let me know. Here's some basic information, blah, blah, blah. And no one saw it. And it was a week later, I think I had 1 like, no comments. And I was like, okay, well, this didn't really achieve the purpose that I had. So I went to Reddit and I started posting over there. And again, it got no traction at all. Nobody saw it. And I kind of left it for a while. I didn't start my YouTube channel until the end of my first year of medical school and the beginning of my second year, I believe it was. And I kind of got reignited. I'm not sure how, to be honest. I had a rethought of, oh yeah, that's something I was trying to do. It didn't work out. Let me do it again. And YouTube was very familiar to me, but only from an entertainment perspective. So 90% of my time consuming content and media was via YouTube. Not really TV shows, anything like that. And so I was like, I had been editing videos of myself forever, traveling on vacation, playing basketball, playing Call of Duty on my Xbox, so I was familiar with setting up a camera, hitting record, editing, etc. And I thought, let me try to make the same thing on YouTube. And I did, 4.5 years ago, almost to the day.
Okay, so I guess you have that kind of editing, filmmaking experience, and you already knew that you kind of wanted to enjoy it. Do you think you would have, just out of interest, do you think you would have gone down the YouTube route had you not had that experience?
I feel like it was only a matter of time until I used that as a method of fun and creativity for me. Because ever since I was a kid, I was that kid who would pull out his phone and hit record when something cool was happening, I was that kid who would want to film the session of us playing basketball before I even knew what uploading on the internet was. I just wanted to have the video. I wanted to film us at the beach or whatever. And I remember when I got my GoPro for the first time, I begged my parents for it for my birthday one year. I don't remember how old I was at the time, but when I got it, I was filming everything. And so I feel like I never thought I would be a YouTuber, someone who talks to a camera and films their day and things like that. I definitely never envisioned that or thought about that. But I always loved filming things, and I enjoyed editing quite a bit as well.
So I guess going in, you potentially didn't have to overcome some of the hurdles that other people starting YouTube have to overcome in terms of learning that. What were the hurdles that you had to overcome when you decided to start a YouTube channel? Yeah,
so I wouldn't say I didn't overcome the hurdles, simply because the edits and the videos that I'd made of all those things I'm talking the most simple things ever, just putting one clip after another, finding some music, putting it at the bottom, and that was it. Very, very simple stuff. And so the hurdles that I faced when I actually started making editing videos, some of my earlier videos were me screen recording. Wait, let's wait for this ambulance to pass. I know how much it ruins the audio. So some of the earlier videos that I was making was me screen recording myself answering questions, and I had my video on the side, and then I would write things and draw text. So those things I had absolutely no clue how to do, one picture on top of another, adding in text, colors, animations, images, this was all stuff that was very new to me. and it was very difficult. I remember it used to take me 30 hours to edit like a simple talking head video, you know. Every single day after work, I would just be there editing away.
Oh God.
So yeah, I feel like I faced all those hurdles again really in 2018. I wouldn't say that I already had the editing down.
Yeah, no, okay, that is true. I think they're two very, very different things. With that though, so how comfortable were you talking to camera? Because like you said, you were potentially filming yourself before, you know, playing basketball or something, or, you know, the family at the beach, versus talking, like just sitting down and talking to the camera. What was that like for the first time?
I think that's like best answered by asking you the question, have you seen my first video?
I have, actually. I thought it was okay compared to some first videos. Yeah.
I think,
obviously
like,
they're like leagues apart from now, but
yeah,
like it's a pretty decent, good first video.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. I think I struggled a lot, to be honest. I mean, if you go back and watch that video, I'm like red, I'm shaking, like I'm physically shaking, you know, my voice is cracking, I'm sweating like nothing else, you know. I was very, very, very nervous. And in all the videos I'd ever filmed in the past, I never like filmed myself. You know, if I was filming us playing basketball, it was like from far away, there's 5 or 6 people. I can almost forget the camera's even there. But it's a very different thing to set down a camera in front of you and talk, you know, and have those feelings that, oh, I need to be entertaining, I need to provide value, I need to not come off like a weirdo on the internet. You know, there's all kinds of things you have to think about. So to go back to your question, I struggled a lot, to be honest. I thought it was very difficult, kind of embarrassing, because I can talk to people in real life, but I was like visibly shaking talking to a camera, you know. And kind of what pushed me through that and got me over it was just, I believed deep in my heart that the information I was giving was valuable enough that even if I came across really weird, even if I didn't seem like for lack of a better way of saying it, like a normal person on camera, it was still worth, you know, looking like a fool almost, but giving away that information.
Did you make any kind of commitment to yourself of how long you would try this, or how much effort you would put in? Because obviously with the Reddit stuff and kind of posting on other forums, it was a kind of, here's a few things, it's not gaining traction, let's move on to the other thing. What was the mindset around YouTube, and was that different?
I'm really happy you brought that up, actually, because the thing that I told myself 4.5 years ago, I've literally just freed myself from that statement, like literally a couple of weeks ago. And the thing that I told, literally 4.5 years later, the thing that I told myself when I started was just upload 1 video a week. And I didn't put a time limit on it. I didn't put I need to reach X views, I need to reach X subscribers, I need to reach X comments. I had said to myself, I want to help. I think every time I recall this story, I say a different number, but it was somewhere between 10 and I don't even know, 50 is way too much. I think I'd said I wanted to help 10 people get accepted to medical school, and that was kind of like my initial goal. And I told myself, upload 1 video a week until that happens. And that sort of mantra of upload 1 video a week, I've literally held on to for, honestly, like it seems like no other reason than I just told myself I was going to do 1 video a week. And so here I am 4.5 years later uploading 1 video a week.
That's insane.
And I've only just kind of relieved myself of that unspoken rule that I gave myself 4.5 years ago. And now I'm gonna like take a massive break and reduce my upload schedule now when I cross 1 million subscribers. I feel like I deserve it now.
You absolutely do. That's insane. That's 4.5 years of like odds. Did you ever miss an upload?
So I took 2 breaks, one before my USMLE Step 1 exam. I think it was like a 2-week break. And then I think maybe after the first year of uploading, I took 3 weeks off, something like that. But otherwise, rain or shine, you know, exam or no exam, vacation, no vacation, 1 video every single week, which is pretty mad.
Absolutely insane. That's an incredible feat.
Yeah, it is pretty mad when I think about it, for sure.
What kind of a toll, if any, does that take on you? Like, are there times where you're just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why have I made this promise to myself? Or are you just like, hang on, this is keeping me going. I have made a commitment, and no matter what, I'm showing up. And actually, that's just so much better. Yeah.
So I should say that this kind of, I told myself I was going to do something, hence I'm going to do it, is like a core part of my personality. And it applies to, you know, like with my studying, with my academics, with my gym routine, with whatever, I kind of make these statements or promises to myself, and then I don't think about it again. I never question it. I never decide, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? I just say, you know what, this is what I said, hence this is what I'm going to do. And that's definitely come to bite me in the, I don't know if we can swear on this podcast.
You can, of course.
Yeah, it's come back to bite me in the ass quite a few times. And it's something that I'm definitely working on, and I am changing as I get a little bit older.
Okay.
Because, as you said, it does take a huge toll for sure.
I mean, like, in the same breath, it's obviously got you to this incredible achievement of almost you're about to hit it, 1 million subscribers and all the stuff that's come with it. So, there's two sides to everything, right?
Yeah. I don't regret it at all, for sure.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again.
As someone who was consistent for about 2 months or something and then just completely fell off the wagon, what does consistency really look like on a day-to-day? Because it's all very well to start a week and go, hey, I'm going to upload a video this week, and then all of a sudden you just don't make time for it. So where you say you said you're going to do it, so you're just going to do it, like how do you go about making sure it gets done? I
kind of categorize my activities in life generally into or there are some activities in my life that I call non-negotiables. So these are things like brushing my teeth every night, no matter how late it is at night, how drunk I am or whatever. Something as simple as that, to also things like you need to study hard, you need to do your best on every exam, whatever my best is. And I put into that category upload a YouTube video every week. And because of the nature of how much work is involved in uploading a YouTube video every week, what that kind of looked like in a real day-to-day sense was, very honestly, just thinking about YouTube from the moment I wake up till the morning I sleep, pretty much 7 days a week. And that happened for a good 3 years until other people got involved in the team and something started to get outsourced, and then I could take a step back. But before then, it was quite literally, every spare second that I had just thinking about YouTube, because you have to, in my opinion. On a weekly schedule, if you're trying to make the best content you can, that's what it comes down to.
Not only are you going to uni during this time, you are studying medicine, which is not an easy degree to take. So for you to be studying for this degree that's obviously incredibly intense within itself, and then to throw in a YouTube channel on top of that, where you are giving it so much attention, how do you balance those two things?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think I should add on to the previous statement that I made where I was saying I think about YouTube from morning till night. The reason that happens, I think, is because other things that are non-negotiable in my life include exercise and social time with my friends, with my family, whatever. And so with school, social activities, exercise, and then YouTube has to literally take up every spare second of time that I had. If I wasn't so focused on all those things, maybe YouTube wouldn't be that way. But because of how I want to live my life and do all the things that I actually care and enjoy about and spend time with my loved ones and whatever, YouTube took up every other aspect of my free time, let's say.
Okay, when you say it takes up all your spare time, do you ever have, because obviously you've mentioned groups there, and I know chilling with family is still downtime, but is there any actual downtime for you, or is YouTube downtime? Is that what it happens? It
feels really weird to say out loud, because looking back on it now, it sounds so crazy. But really, only in since I started therapy, or since I did therapy for 2 months, I think it was in September now, so maybe half a year ago or something. Before then, there was no such thing as downtime. And I really mean that wholeheartedly. I would literally be in medical school, come home, study for medicine, start working on YouTube. And YouTube was fun. YouTube has always been fun. YouTube has always been something that I wanted to do, right? Let's get that straight. However, it is work. Let's just clarify that real quick. It's not as simple as just pick up the camera and say hello. It's a ton of work. I loved it, and I still think it's an amazing hobby to do. But I would literally be working till the moment I went to sleep, and then rinse and repeat the next day. And I loved it. I genuinely enjoyed that hustle. I enjoyed that grind. I was so happy with everything I was doing. I don't regret any of it. But looking back on it now, I'm wow, that was a crazy period of time for over 3 years, nonstop.
I guess you growing up, like we talked about earlier, that kind of hard work grind was built into you anyway. So you are somebody that would naturally default to that position, right? So it's probably a little easier for you to, not saying it was the right thing, but you've almost fell into it.
Kind of, like a lot of people, I think, talk about this mindset or like consistency, work ethic, whatever, as something you have or you don't have. And I really don't believe that's the case. I genuinely think that it's like a muscle that can be trained just like anything else. It's something that can be worked on. It's something that can be improved. And for me, the heavy influence and drive for this work ethic and motivation came from my dad, because he was always so focused and concerned about studying, getting good grades, getting a good job, whatever. And, he would let me know that very clearly. And so I absorbed that work ethic that he had. And he's done some amazing stuff in his time, and he is, in my eyes, the pinnacle of hard work and good work ethic over a long period of time. And so that's where it started for me, and then I built upon that because I recognize its importance as well. Good grades means good job means happy life, huge generalization and air quotations or whatever. But that's kind of where it started, and that's why I value it as well.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I say that because I'm one of those people that it doesn't naturally have it, and like most likely I'm making excuses, because I agree with you. I think it can be, it is a muscle, and you can work on it. And obviously, once you start, you will just naturally fall into that kind of routine, and it will happen. I'm just being lazy, is what I'm saying. Going back to the other kind of tangent of that.
Yeah.
So you're obviously going back to you're studying. You've got a YouTube channel, but you've just started out, and I guess the YouTube world is new. So what kind of plan, if any, do you have for your first videos, and how do you go about them? And what does kind of that planning / scripting video filming process look like?
That's a nice question. I think especially early on, because the videos were being turned out on a 1 week basis, I'd upload on Thursday at 8:30 in the morning, and then on Thursday at 9 in the morning, I'd be like, okay, new video time, what should we do? It would be like starting from complete scratch, like no systems in place, no nothing. So back then it was purely, especially at the beginning, it was, what do I think is the most relevant? What I think is the most valuable? Because I was making videos on how to pass certain tests for medical school entrance exams. So I was like, okay, here's the entrance exam. It has 6 different sections. Let's make a video on each section. And then, med school applications have a personal statement. They have a work experience. So that's kind of where I started. I was just like, let me break down the components of a med school application, make one video on each thing. And so each week I was like, what do I feel like doing this week? Let me just pick one. And then, it would take me 10 seconds to pick one, because it didn't matter which one I picked. And this is what frustrates me so much sometimes, listening to people talk about their struggles in getting things started. Like, it pains me to spend time thinking about what should I do. I'm just like, just choose whatever you want. Like, it honestly doesn't matter. Just choose the first thing and then work on it. The value of working on it and the time spent working on it is infinitely better than choosing the right thing to start working on in the first place. For YouTube videos when you're first starting out, huge generalization, blah, blah, blah. But like, I really think that's the case. And so, yeah, each Thursday I would start completely fresh, think of an idea, and then script it in my lunch breaks, in the evenings, after seeing friends, like late at night, whatever, whenever I had the time, and just rinse and repeat on a weekly cycle.
I love that. But it's so important. You're right. It's so important, because I think a lot of people do get caught up in, what's the right video, and even at the beginning, like algorithms and all of this stuff. And it's like, hang on, you just need to get started, like get into the habit of putting out a video a week, even if it's a 2-minute video, and even if it's like the worst thing in the world, it doesn't matter. Also, I'm talking to myself. What I'm saying is fully aware I fall into that boat. So you're filming and you're making these videos while at uni. A lot of people have a worry or, a thought of, what will my friends think? What will my family think? Oh, I'm doing this YouTube thing. And that's even now, when YouTube is so much bigger than it was, 3-4 years ago when you started out. Did you have any of those thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I made a really conscious decision when I first started to not tell any of my friends or family. I didn't even tell my girlfriend, told absolutely no one. I made a separate Instagram account to my personal one, and I made a separate YouTube account to my personal one. And I said, because the thinking was, I want to do this thing. If other people's opinions start getting involved, that might impact my want to do this thing. And so I didn't want to have that. And it was really as simple as just don't tell anyone. Like, it was the easiest secret in the world to keep, you know? I mean, like, I was just like, whatever, no one has to know. This is what I'm doing in my spare time. If people ask me what I'm doing, like, I'm working, I'm doing this, I would even say, like, I'm editing a video, like, whatever, you know? And that led to some really interesting scenarios, like a year or two down the line, when, like, one of my really close friends would be like, hey, bro, so I was, like, scrolling on YouTube the other day, and, like, a video of you came up, and you have, like, 100,000 subscribers. Like, what the hell? Like, how come you didn't tell me about this, you know?
Love that.
But yeah, it was my own thing. I felt so happy doing it, and I felt like I was providing value, and the comments were so encouraging and lovely, and it really made me feel like I was doing something that was worth my time. And yeah, I just didn't want anyone else's opinions on it, really. I was happy with it.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Why would you? Especially if it's potential to stop you. Oh, no, that's great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned when we were talking earlier about the whole, Reddit thing and not getting traction there. With YouTube, and you obviously you said whatever the number is, 10 to 20 people that you wanted to help. Firstly, what was it like in the initial days, and how much traction was there versus the other things?
So I think by the time the forum ideas had not gone well, when it came to YouTube thing, I was like, all right, it's going to happen, like, one way or another. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And kind of the solution that I found was to go back on some of those forums. And what I would do, so when I uploaded my first video, I got like 0 views for the first week, as per usual. And so I was like,
because you didn't tell anybody about it.
Yeah, I was like, no,
Yeah.
Somebody's going to watch this video, like, it's going, I want this information out there.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I went back on those same forums, Reddit, and it was another one called, I think, the Student Forum, I forget the name. And I would just reply to people's questions who were asking about medical school. And at the end of my long paragraph, I would say, if you have any other questions, or if you want any more information, please DM me. They would DM me, I would answer their second question, and then say, oh, by the way, I have a YouTube page where I talk about these things in more detail. Now, by that point, I had made, I think, 5 or 6 videos. They maybe had like 1, 2, or 3 views across like each one. And so, this was a ton of effort to acquire customers in business terms, I mean, like responding to the first one, they have to actually care enough to DM you, then you respond to the second one, send them a link, and they have to actually care enough to click on it. And I think that's how I got my first like 20, 30 subscribers or something like that.
Nice.
And that's when YouTube started helping me push out an extra 5 viewers a week or something like that. But before then, it was just 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Did you ever say, hang on, is this kind of worth it? Because you're putting in 30 to 50 hours a week trying to make these videos with a few views.
Yeah. I honestly, I never thought about, I never thought about the worth it aspect. Like, I told myself I was going to do it. Yeah. I said I wanted to help 10 people or whatever it was. And I was like, okay, let me just help those 10 people. Let me at least reach those 10, at least they know that the link exists. If they want to watch in the future, they can. If they don't want to watch it, that's fine. But at least to have reached those 10. And then what made me go past that 10-person mark was the comments that would just say, can you make a video on this? Can you make a video on that? I have a question about this, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, there's more. There's more I can do here. There's more things people want to know. And so I just kept making more.
Ah, okay, that's nice. Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the channel is obviously growing. You're getting viewers. You've decided that you're sticking at it because obviously it's the medium that work. Was there a particular turning point, like a video that totally popped off or something that just kind of blew up for you?
Yeah, 100%. I think it was a year and 2 months after making weekly videos, and I had 7,000 subscribers. And that's when the video popped off, but I want to go a couple of months before that. So after about a year of making videos, I was totally out of ideas regarding medical school content. I felt medical school applications content. I felt like I had covered the whole application plus some. I'd even done double videos on certain sections of the exam, whatever. And I was like, I need new content. Now the problem. I knew that nobody cared about who Nasir was as a person. What people cared about was the value that he was providing. I'm speaking about myself in the third person, but the value that the videos were providing was what made people interested in watching them to begin with, and also leaving comments or whatever. And so I thought to myself, if I'm going to continue doing this, because I need new video ideas and topics, because I'm out. I need to somehow have people interested in me as well. Then I can provide valuable videos about my own life, my own experiences, whatever. And so slowly, I started introducing. So after a year and whatever, I had shared exactly 0 opinions about anything. I hadn't said anything that I cared about, liked, whatever. It was just like information videos. Anyways, so I think I filmed a vlog of me in medical school, and that like performed the same as everything else, but probably worse, if I remember correctly, because again, it was a more personal look at me instead of the education, informational stuff. And then I think the third vlog that I made was one that really popped off and went super viral, which was absolutely mad at the time. Still mad to think about looking back. I think it had like 30,000 views in a week, and I was like, oh my God. Oh, what is happening here? You know? And then over the next couple of weeks, like hundreds of thousands of views. It was just growing really, really fast. And that's when I went from 7,000 to about 44,000 in the span of, I think, like a month or 2.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's what made me think, this YouTube channel is no longer just something small that I was making for a small handful of people. Now there's a lot of other people there. That's the first kind of click I had to say, this is actually something big and meaningful.
So what does that do with your content and what you're thinking? So when you sit down every week and you go, okay, what's the content looking like? Now you've obviously thrown out a non-information dense video.
The philosophy that I still have till today, and I talked about it on Ali Abdal's podcast, is every week I sit down and I make the video that I'm actually really passionate about, that I actually care about, because otherwise the process is simply not worth it. Like, you know very well the amount of time and effort that goes into making a video. And if I'm making a video just for the purposes of, I think it's going to do well, which it probably won't 9 out of 10 times, because there's so many other factors involved, it's so not worth it. You know what I mean? Like, every week I would still continue to make the video that I wanted to do most. And even on top of that, if I wanted to vlog every day, I simply couldn't. It was way too much effort. The editing time for a vlog for me back then was like 3x a talking head video. Like, it was insane. I would spend tens and tens and tens of hours editing a vlog. I loved it. I was learning new techniques. I was implementing new transitions and text and music and this and that. I loved it. But because I loved it and I wanted it to be good, it would take forever. So I continued doing the same thing, to be honest, just making videos about anything that I thought was interesting.
Sorry, slight tangent, but you seem like the type of person that has very high standards.
Mm-hmm.
How does that impact your, one video a week? Is that why you spend so much time on a video? Or like, because obviously there comes a point where you have to just call it and the video has to go up. So how do you kind of manage that? My
philosophy in life, which also applies to the weekly YouTube videos, is I generally have really high standards. I wouldn't call myself the perfectionist of all perfectionists. However, I should have really high standards and be perfectionist up until the point that it serves me well. And there's a really fine line between working really hard on something and taking extra time, whatever, and just wasting time. And I found that somewhere around the 1 week mark in my schedule and in the amount of hours that I could put in 1 week, if I went any further, it would be at an overall net loss. So it was more worth it for me to just publish the video and move on to the next one than spend any more time on the one that I was currently doing. And if something really needed more than 1 week, I would just have to film a second video to slot in for that week whilst I could work on the other one in the background. So I would only be perfectionist and have really high standards up until the point that it serves me.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, honestly. Because a lot of people just take it to the extreme and then don't do the thing that they actually wanted to do to begin with. And what's the point then? What's the point?
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, because there's so many people that's like, oh, it's not good enough. But what that means is they put nothing out and they never get better. Yeah. And they get stuck in that kind of loop of, the best way to do YouTube is to put a video out and learn. You'll learn so much more by putting 6 videos out in 6 weeks than spending 6 weeks on 1 video, right?
100%. I think as your channel grows and you become someone with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, it kind of turns around, and it's definitely worth spending way more time on a single video. But when you're first starting out and you're reaching your sort of plateau of your editing, creativity, ideas, etc., it's way more valuable to just do the work over and over again than be perfectionist about it.
Yeah. Did you make a conscious effort about your kind of how much of your personal life you would share? Because obviously vlog content is just you going about your day, and yes, well, you can do that kind of on your own. What were the thoughts about, you know, my friends at uni now know that I'm a YouTuber or whatever, or, you know, people I study with, or so what was the thought process of I imagine there was one.
Yeah, definitely. My biggest fear when I started this whole YouTube thing, like the thing that was kind of the devil on my shoulder saying don't do this, was the risk of losing your your security and your, what is it called, your privacy.
Yes.
The risk of losing my privacy, that was my biggest fear at the time, and it is my biggest fear till today. It's something I think about all the time and I'm constantly worried about. And so right from the very, very beginning, I did what I spoke about before. I created, separate Instagram accounts, separate YouTube. I even had at some point a separate telephone number for all like work-related things and whatever. And I just wanted to have this very strong divide in my life between personal and whatever I share on the internet. And I've spoken about this quite openly and honestly. I think it was in a toxic productivity video or something like that. And like I'll say again, just as a reminder, like, all these YouTubers that you watch, they're sharing a very, very small sliver of their life in a highly, highly edited way. And I'm one of those people as well. I only show you what I want to show you, and that is the truth. And, like I say, what I do show in my YouTube videos, I honestly believe is true to me and true to myself. Let's call it 99% of the time. But even within that, there's things I hold back. There's things I don't talk about. My relationship with my friends has almost never existed on my channel. My relationship with my girlfriend, very, very superficially, just us doing fun activities, talking, having dinner, but never, I really don't reveal that much about my personal life, and it's on purpose. It's not an accident, And I think that's really important, to be honest, for creators. If that blends, I don't even know what I would do if it all became one.
I completely agree. It's one of those things. It's just, there are obviously some people that are just way more comfortable with that sort of stuff and are like, okay, this is cool. Sure. This is me. I'm an open book. It doesn't matter if it's online. It doesn't matter if it's where. But yeah, I also sit in your camp of, hang on, this is a little scary. I don't want lines to be crossed. I need to keep it very separate.
For sure.
Makes a lot of sense. You mentioned earlier that obviously you've started to build a team around you and have come a long way since those early days. What first made you decide to hire somebody, and what was that hire?
The first person who started working with us was out of pure necessity. I think when I started my fourth year of medical school, the commitments of being a full-time medical student became too intense for me to do the editing all on my own. And so the first person who we started working with was an editor, actually recommended to me by Ali, because I went through like a 2-month process of trialing a bunch of different editors and I didn't like any of them. And then, we found that one, and he's been working with us even till today. He's absolutely fantastic. And so that was the first person who started working with us, and it completely changed my life. It suddenly freed up an extra 20 hours or so a week. Yes. That I just didn't have before. So yeah, it was driven by necessity for sure.
Were you scared to outsource? Because a lot of people say, oh, they're not going to be able to do it like me. Is my kind of vibe.
100%. I very strongly believed that no one could emulate my vlog editing. It was my thing. It was special. No one could do it like me. I was very quickly humbled when that editor sent back the first edit. It was great. Obviously it took a long time to get to the point where it was on the same style as me, but it was possible is the key. And that's what I tell creators I talk to all the time. It's like, whatever you think you're doing really uniquely, you probably are, but someone can do it to an 80% as good standard. And if that 80% is good enough and is going to save you enough time, then the value is there. And you should think about working with someone else.
Yeah, and they'll only get closer to your style over time, or you'll figure out, a better one or a new one.
For sure.
So you've obviously freed up 20 odd hours of your time, but you've also said that fourth year medical school is obviously incredibly intense. Does that 20 hours just go back into that, or is there a danger of possibly going, I can spend a bit more time on this part of YouTube?
Yeah, I'm notorious for that. I'm notorious for creating work for myself, and in my pre-therapy life, let's call it, I would work until I slept every single day. Like, if I was going to sleep at midnight, I would stop work at 11:45, hop in the shower, brush my teeth, and get straight into bed. Like, I would waste no time, right? And if I sit here and I think about it, right, I could do a million things with the YouTube channel, right? Should I start designing merch? Should I go back to work on my podcast? Should I hire someone to work on better thumbnails? Should I start video scripting so that I have less video scripting to do next week? There's a million things I could be doing in this very instant. And it took a long time for me to kind of learn to slow down and just be like, you don't need to do that right now. Like, it's okay if you do it tomorrow. On the flip side of that, I really believe that mentality is kind of what drove all of the quote unquote success that my YouTube channel has seen. And I think without that mentality and without all that hard work and all those hours, I could not have possibly gotten to this place. So I don't regret it. But it's a weird one looking back on.
Yes. Do you kind of feel like, so again, when you started, you said you had this goal of helping, let's call it 10 people, and you've obviously overcome that and gone over that and far exceeded that, and you've decided to carry on. But did you set yourself any other goals other than just one video? Because like, what keeps you kind of going and pushing and constantly driving to say, I want to do better? Do you have the next target is 1 million subscribers or anything like that?
Yeah. At its core, YouTube has always been fun. And I think without the fun aspect, I don't think there's anything else I do in my life this much that's not fun. You know what I mean? Like, even studying in medical school, like, I find that fun to some extent, enough that I'm willing to put in all the hours that I do studying medicine. So at its core, it's remained fun. And that baseline level of increased creativity and enjoyment in the process has kept me going. I think over the last couple of months, and this is something that I'm going to talk about in one of my future videos, so you're the first to hear this ever.
Exclusive, people.
I feel like the sort of burning passion and fire inside me that has been propelling me this entire time is like starting to fade. And I think that part of that is a result of churning out or uploading a video every week has almost become like a factory line, like process now. I film, send it to the editor edits, I review the edit. Someone's helping me with the script writing as well. They write a large portion of the script, I review it and edit it, I film it, get sent to the editor, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of become like a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's a formula. The huge amount of creativity that was there and me tackling all these obstacles by myself is gone. Like, now I have so much free time per week, it's amazing. But that involvement of me being so heavy in the creative process every step of the way has started to diminish. And that's not what I want to do. I'm not creating videos just to create a video. I want them to be good, I want them to add value, and I want them to be useful. And so I think after this 1 million subscriber mark, I'm gonna take a step back and rethink, what it is that I want out of this channel, what purpose I want it to serve, and kind of reevaluate, going forward. Do
you have any immediate thoughts, or are you just going to wait to there and then just completely take a step back and see what it's like?
Yeah, I don't want to think about it. I've been so YouTube focused for 4.5 years. Like, I want that clarity. I want that break. Yeah,
makes sense. Just going back to your team, because I sidetracked myself. So you brought on an editor. Who else have you brought on? What does your team kind of look like now?
So the editor was the first person that we started working with and is still working with us till now. In my 5th year of medical school, the commitments and work and time took another step up. And so we started working with someone to help write and research video scripts, which was also another big time save, of course, as you must know. And then we started working with someone to help repurpose content across our social media platforms. So, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram Reels and posts, and YouTube Shorts. And that's all the people that we've worked with in terms of helping with the YouTube channel. And, it's amazing. I mean, to get to that point to begin with is incredible in itself. And then the amount of free time that it relieves for you as the person who's kind of at the center of all of this, that you can focus your time on the things that you think are most important, both within YouTube and outside of it, I think is really invaluable. been very happy with all of that.
Lovely. Did you ever think 4 years ago when you started this is where you'd be?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Like, could have never dreamed of reaching this many people. Never.
What would you say to Nasir, who's just starting YouTube now, if you could?
Wow, that's deep. I would say 5 hours a week less of intense grinding and work is gonna be a lot more beneficial to you long term than just spending that time worrying and stressing and working till you sleep. And relax at nighttime. Don't work until you sleep. If I could go back, I think I would give myself a couple hours of downtime in the evenings.
Love that. Yes, I'm a downtime person. I'm like, I need some TV.
I love it now.
I'm good.
It's great.
Yeah?
It's so nice, yeah.
What are you watching? Yeah. Anything good?
Yeah, I'm currently watching a movie, The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. Yes. Just every night I sit down, turn on Netflix, I'm like, boop, and I just watch something, and it's the best feeling ever, I literally started it a year ago, and it's great. It's really changed my perspective on what it means to sit down and relax.
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah, I'm for sure sit down at the end of the day and just TV, please.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so just briefly, and maybe a little selfishly, you obviously started a podcast along the way. What was your reasoning to kind of go into that, and what was that journey like, and what maybe, this is a bombardment of questions, but what were the learnings that came out of that, and how do you feel about it?
I started it for two main reasons. One of them was I was getting kind of bored of making like the traditional 10-minute-ish YouTube video every single week, and I thought it would be nice to do something different. I'm still making videos, I'm still like editing whatever, but I'm doing something that's a bit different, long form content. The second thing was that I always never really felt comfortable talking to like a wider audience, even like a group of 5 people in a room, if I'm presenting a PowerPoint or I don't know, whatever, or talking to people who I haven't met at length about serious things, not just making small talk.
Yeah.
I always felt that I wasn't really confident in that, and I wasn't. And so I thought if I forced myself to sit down and talk to people for an hour or so about different types of topics, that it might help me with that personal growth as well. And it most definitely did. Like this conversation that we're having now, I could not have had with you like 2 years ago. So yeah, those are the two reasons that I started it. And it has been great. I love the podcast. I've axed it out of my schedule for a time really.
I'm ready for you to bring it back whenever you're ready.
Cheers.
A bit of a random question, but what are your thoughts? Do you think YouTube is for everybody?
I think anyone who wants to be a YouTuber can be a YouTuber. I don't think there's any barrier for any particular type of person or particular content besides like adult content and whatever, that type of stuff. But largely speaking, I think anyone who wants to create a YouTube video, who wants to talk to a camera, most definitely can and should. I was using my Samsung S7 for the first year of filming videos, and then I was using my iPhone 8 for another year, and the front-facing camera on both of those because I wanted to see myself, so it was a lower quality as well. So I think, most anyone who wants to do it can do it. I think there's a lot of learning involved, there's a lot of struggles and obstacles along the way, but it's most definitely possible, and I think that's the key. As long as it's possible, you can do it and you can work towards it.
Just to put that into perspective, when did you, subscriber-wise roughly, when did you upgrade to a proper camera?
I don't know. I don't remember the subscriber count, but it was when the YouTube AdSense had generated enough money for me to buy one.
Yeah, okay.
The first thing that I bought was like a tripod so that I wouldn't have my phone on a cardboard box or something. And then I bought a microphone to plug into my phone, and then a camera. It must have been around, I don't know subscribers wise, but maybe, yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
Okay. Sorry. No, I'm guessing 2 years in, you must have had, a good, maybe even
maybe
100,000.
a year and a half in.
Okay.
No,
No?
2 years in, maybe
Yeah.
like 60,000, something
Yeah,
like that.
okay,
Not
so
even,
a decent chunk for it to be like, hang on, guys, you can make some really good traction on YouTube without, and
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
phone cameras these days are even better.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. A lot
don't
of
get
cameras
me
film in 4K now. I mean, you only need 1080p anyways, right?
Yes, yes.
And some nice lighting sitting in front of a window. So yeah, it's definitely
Exactly.
possible.
Yeah, what do you think the most important skills are for somebody who wants to be a YouTuber?
I think without consistency, you can't do anything. So consistency needs to be like a tick box that's just there, an underlying baseline factor of your entire YouTube journey. Then on top of that, I think the one thing that you need to have is just the sort of want or the hunger, the feeling that you need to get better each time. I think staying consistent doing the same thing without evolving or learning is also not going to get you very far, unless obviously you start at a very good point. But that's not the case for most people. So I think even if you change one thing a week or every 2 weeks, you learn one new thing, I think that's what really propels people to do better and better.
I selfishly ask these questions for myself, really.
Yeah.
I need to get back into it. Nasir, I think we'll call it that. I've taken enough of your time. Firstly, thank you so much for doing
my
this.
pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. Very, very fun. You've come well prepared and I loved your questions. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Hey there, thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, you can watch the last episode over here and catch up with the rest of the season over here. Links to where you can find Nasir are all in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.